A lot of counties have adopted COVID rules that are more restrictive than the states. Bartholomew County started enacting its own restrictions several weeks ago in an effort to bend the curve. Reporter Brock Turner has more.
It's a quiet afternoon in Columbus. The restaurants surrounding the courthouse square usually have their tables filled, but as temperatures dropped, so did the business. Corey Parker owns the Columbus Bar. It's been in business for 80 years. When the pandemic first began, he was forced to lay off all 12 of his employees. He's since hired a few back, but worries a surge in new cases will force more difficult decisions. Parker says his entire business model has changed. Before March, the restaurant and bar averaged about one Grubhub food delivery order a day. Now, most days, delivery accounts for more than 50% of business. He's noticed some folks are becoming more hesitant to venture out. That, paired with colder temperatures, has him worried.
Over the summer, a lot of our business was all patio. We'd have people come sit out here, all afternoon, and now that it's gotten cold and the nights, coming early, we just don't see that.
Parker says he understands the restrictions and supports them. He, just like many economists, say the restrictions have not harmed his business. Rather, the coronavirus has.
I don't want, this pandemic to continue and things like that. I think maybe we should have been a little stricter in the beginning and had a little stronger. Now we're just kind of dragging it out. But, I also think that if we're going to continue with these restrictions, there needs to be some actual help for people, both small businesses and the actual employees and the people.
And more restrictions are likely. Bartholomew County rolled back on its reopening plan before Indiana did. The county imposed capacity limits in dining rooms and bars, moved schools to virtual learning, and closed some public spaces.
We think we've reached our limit for telling people to wear the masks and to physical distance properly. And we've kind of reached a roadblock with that. And now we're left with these more restrictive measures. And that's kind of the reason we went back to the 4.5. It's more of a wake-up call to the community that we need to start doing something at a local level.
Even though Bartholomew County was one of the first in the state to roll back reopening, officials here say even more restrictions could be on the horizon.
As of right now, gyms are still open full capacity. That's probably something we'll be looking at. And we're continuing to have conversations with the faith-based community as far as attendance in church services as well. That's a concern.
The state opted to exclude faith-based gatherings from restrictions, despite growing evidence they've contributed to outbreaks. Brian Tabor is the president of the Indiana Hospital Association. He says he's very concerned about hospitalization trends.
Really, it's picking up for everybody. And I think, given the numbers that we've seen in just a couple of weeks, I doubt there's going to be much capacity anywhere in the system.
Columbus Regional Health has little capacity now. They're caring for twice as many patients with COVID-19 as they were in March, and they've already rolled back elective procedures.
But really, our wave is still the first wave because the Midwest didn't really see, especially rural communities, didn't really see the heightened numbers that the coastlines did and those larger metropolitan areas like you're speaking to. So we were, kind of weathering that storm, and the storm has not stopped. It's just even intensified more.
With cases continuing to climb across Indiana and the Midwest, it's likely the strain on healthcare systems will continue.
A lot of national experts are predicting that we're going to see these high levels and surging going on for the next several weeks. And as we have family get-togethers here, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, there's always a concern that people aren't doing the right thing.
Parker says he supports additional restrictions if it means ending the pandemic sooner. He says he's willing to do everything he can to slow the spread, but needs some help.
You need to look at the small guy, you need to look at the people. Big business is going to make it. Walmart's going to keep getting business. Amazon's going to do great. It's the little guy you got to worry about now, because if we're not here, there is no America.
Despite broad bipartisan support, talks of a second economic stimulus have stalled in Congress. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.